Hi, I hope you're having a great day today. I am not at the ranch build today. I am at the rental house. I was anticipating drywall getting delivered today, but I received a call last night that their hydraulic system in the truck is not working. It's coming in from a couple hours away. So they had to postpone it. So the drywall is going to get delivered tomorrow. So we'll be at the ranch build tomorrow. And also Dan comes home tomorrow. So Danny will be home, drywall will be delivered, and I just feel the momentum of the ranch build is going to speed up, and I'm excited about that because I'm ready to move in. I want to move in. I thought I'd take a step back, a moment back in time, and talk about how we actually acquired the property and why we acquired the property. Originally, when we purchased the property, we were doing it as an investment. We hadn't really thought and considered all the way down the road to having an off-grid homestead at that time. It was in 2020 when we were talking about our investments. We had a low performing portfolio, couple of them managed portfolios that weren't doing well. And our financial advisor was like, that's okay, slow growth, this is diversification and all that. But it was just aggravating to us. We weren't being patient with it at all. So Dan was turning 60 that year, and I said, hey, we have the opportunity to cash out once you turn 60 without any penalties. So why don't we think about investing in something else? And after a lot of discussion and research, we decided to invest in land. We decided on raw land because it's less expensive. You don't have the infrastructure, you don't have the utilities. It's just land, so it's a little bit less expensive, and we could get more acreage that way. So once we started looking, once we knew we were going to purchase land, and we looked at several states, we decided on Arizona because Arizona is so beautiful. The landscape, talk about diversity, the landscape's so diverse, and it's close to SoCal, Southern California, where Dan and I were both born and raised, and we have a lot of family and friends there. So we still wanted to stay a little bit close to our original home base, the OG, and we decided to look in Arizona. So we took a trip. We spent some time in Sedona. We went up to Ash Fork. We looked in the Williams area. And then the second leg of our trip, we were driving more to the eastern part. And we had plans to look at over in the St. John's area. There's a lot of ranch land that's been divided up into like 30-acre, 35-acre parcels. So we were on our way to look at one of those, and we were going to stay in Show Low for the evening. And as we were driving there, we went through this town. We came over this ridge, and we both were just awestruck. It was beautiful. There was green grass meadows, streams, cottonwood trees just glistening in the sun. It was in the fall, so they were really nice and yellow. There was like a Friday Night Lights vibe going on at the high school, and we both had goosebumps. We were like, where are we? This is beautiful. So we continued on to Show Low, stayed the night. The next day we went to St. John's, drove there, looked at the property. I mean, it's a lovely area as well, but it was just a little too remote for us. So it was about a 40-minute drive on dirt roads to this one ranch that we were looking at that was for sale. There was a couple of them out there, but all of them were really very remote, very remote. And we did want something a little remote, and we knew we would get that if we were getting raw land, but not quite that remote. So anyways, we went home and discussed it a little further and decided to look in the White Mountain area of Arizona. So we had been pretty busy. We had a construction company. I was a realtor at the time. We also had our side hustle. We had a six-pack charter boat, but we actually had a weekend free. So we decided to go ahead and just go to Arizona at the spur of the moment and look at property. So we did that. We stayed the night, woke up the next day, didn't have an appointment or a list of homes or anything, of property or anything. And I just walked into the first real estate office I saw, met a lovely woman who happened to have time available And she took us to see 3 different properties and gave us a list. She had other appointments that day, gave us a list of properties to go look at, gave her card. We both went on our own way. Dan and I did a little off-roading unintentionally, and we looked at a bunch of properties. We had a great time, but we ended up at the very first property that she showed us. And I called her and I said, hey, we want to make an offer on the first property. She said, well, you better hurry up. There's somebody else here looking at that exact piece of property, and they're in my office right now. I'm like, isn't that always the way? And we close at 5. So it was 4:30, but we made it, and we were about 20 minutes away from town. Our property's about 20 minutes from town. And we got to the bank, and we got a cashier's check, and we got in the door right at like 4:59. And this other couple didn't look too happy with us, but we were so pleased. And they weren't that as far down the road as we were. Like, we were ready to purchase, and I think they were still on the fence. So it worked out well for us. And then once we purchased that property for the investment, at that time, as I said, we hadn't really looked at being off-grid or homesteading, but we started looking at that aspect more. It started to just feel so busy and cluttered, kind of in the SoCal area, and so we just thought maybe this is the time we should go build our own house and live off grid. And so I started looking at investing in other property adjacent to ours. I contacted all of the property owners around us. So we do have BLM land on 2 sides of our property, which is awesome. So Bureau of Land Management, obviously we can't purchase those. Those are off, those will not be on the market. But some of the other properties that were adjacent to us, I started reaching out to the owners. I did receive one person that was interested in selling to us, and we went through our own negotiations, and we made an agreement, and I went through the title company for that process. And then the third piece of property that I got that's also adjacent to the primary purchase, I got through the tax lien process. So drilling down and looking at these properties a little bit closer, I could see that there was 7 acres of property where the owners hadn't paid their taxes in about 6 years. So somehow they became disassociated with their property. I went to the county, I got a tax investor number, and then I paid on those taxes. And after I did that as an investment, and then after a certain amount of time, you can go ahead and foreclose. It's quite a process. It's all, I would say black and white, but it's not really. It's all there in the legislation. I was able to work my way through the codes and figure out how to foreclose in it myself. So those 7 acres we received for a very low price. So the first piece of property we purchased through a realtor. We did that in May of 2021. The second piece of property, we went directly to a landowner through a title company, and that was in May of 2022. And then July of 2022, I was able to successfully foreclose, on the adjacent 7 acres. So that is, we started out really as an investment, a way to get out from under feeling like we needed to watch the stock market every day, and have a secure investment that we felt good about. And then things just took off from there. We started looking at homesteading. We were looking at YouTube, Discovery Channel, and we just got this bug. We just got the feeling that, hey, let's go build our own off-grid homestead. So here we are building JDK Ranchetta, and we love it. Thanks for checking in. Have a great day.